Planning a fishing trip shouldn't feel like a full-time job. With FishingBooker.com, you can find and book the perfect fishing trip within minutes. FishingBooker.com connects you with trusted fishing captains around the world. Booking is fast, easy, and secure, with access to verified customer reviews, loyalty rewards, and around-the-clock customer support. Everything you need to book with confidence is in one place. So head to FishingBooker.com and start planning your next fishing adventure today.
You said this place was steps from the water.
We just haven't found the steps yet.
How much did we save?
Enough.
Enough to get lost?
Or you could book a stay with Hilton.
Welcome to your oceanfront room, just steps from the water.
The Hilton sale is on now. Book on Hilton.com or the Hilton app and save up to 20% to get the stay you expected. When you want savings, not surprises, it matters where you stay. Hilton, for the stay.
Welcome to DSC's Campfires with Larry Weishuhn, a unique blend of hunting, fishing, wildlife conservation, and the outdoor lifestyle. DSC's Campfires is brought to you by DSC, Conservation, Education, and Advocacy. Hornady, accurate, deadly, dependable. Taurus, award-winning revolvers and pistols. Stealth Vision, high-tech, precision-driven equipment for today's modern hunter. Red 55 Winery, signature wines from Emmy Award-winning country artist Miranda Lambert, owned by Rick and Beverly Lambert. And the Choctaw Hunting Lodge, home of some of the finest hunting in North America. Now, here's Larry.
Welcome to another DSC's Campfires with Larry Weishuhn. I think I've said that probably about 300 or so different times. I'll be very open with you. Today's podcast was really supposed to be with my very dear friend, Mr. Luke Clayton. Luke and I we do so many things together. Among those, for the last almost 21 years now, I've been doing the opening segment of his weekly radio show that's broadcast throughout many Texas stations, and also I think up in Arkansas and maybe up even in a little bit different parts of the other states as well too. But every Saturday morning, Luke and I have talked about something that having to do with the outdoors, hunting, fishing, our outdoor lifestyle. Did the recording, but for some reason, my computer system decided that it probably didn't like it or something. I'm not real sure what happened, but long story short, unfortunately, that podcast episode was eaten by the computer, kind of like my homework was eaten by my dog of many, many years ago. I'm not sure what happened, but it's not going to be available. So I'm going to have to go back and try to do another one with Luke a little bit later on in about maybe 2 or 3 weeks or so. And the reason I say 2 or 3 weeks is I'm recording this morning. I'm only about 5 hours away from boarding a plane to go to start with London, and from London I'll change planes and go to Copenhagen, where I'll be picked up by Stephan and Sophia Bengston with Scandinavian Pro Hunters, and with them will be Mark and Carol Little. Mark and Carol bought a Three Nations roe deer hunt at our 2025 DSC Foundation Gala, or Gala, if you so inclined to pronounce that word. And really, I am so looking forward to that hunt. For the years, I have had the opportunity to, on occasion, be in Europe to hunt roe deer, and they've become one of my most fascinating animals that I've had the opportunity to hunt. And every opportunity I have, I will try to do so. And part of my goal in all this is to be a co-host, if you will, or to help host Sophia and Stephan with this hunt that we've got planned. Now, we'll fly into Copenhagen as I'm recording this. They, being Mark and Carol, are already there and have been picked up by Sophia and Stephan, and on doing a little bit of touring there in Denmark, but then also they'll pick me up at the airport tomorrow being from about 24 hours after I board the plane. I'll be in Copenhagen as well. We're going to start our hunt by being in Sweden. I've hunted roe deer in the past in Sweden and absolutely had a fantastic time. I've also hunted there with Stephan and Sophia. That was a roe deer hunt with them, but also for red stag and oh my gosh, shot a really good fallow deer, huge fallow deer over in Denmark on one of those trips as well too. And I've been there to hunt ducks, the waterfowl hunting in Sweden, no bag limits. It is phenomenal. It is like going on a clay bird shoot, knowing that you're going to get to shoot 1,000 clay birds if you really want to, kind of thing. So had an absolutely great time. And, of course, I've hunted with them elsewhere in Norway and for reindeer and also over in Finland for white-tailed deer and oh my gosh, Scotland for red stag in the past as well too. Now this hunt will start in Sweden and hunt for a couple of 3 days and then fly over to Poland. Now Poland's got lots of great hunting. Now this will be the first time I've ever been in Poland. I've hunted several of the other European and northern Scandinavian type countries, but never have I been in Poland, so I'm really looking forward to that from what Stephan has told me in the past when we talked to not too long ago when he was at the DSC, our great show that we had there in Atlanta, Georgia. He and I got a chance to talk, and then, of course, I was back in England very recently with John Landgraf, and John and I hunted with Stephan and Sophia for the little muntjac and also the Chinese water deer. But we leave and hunt Poland for 2 or 3 days, trying to shoot one roe deer, and then maybe try to see what else we can have the opportunity to shoot a second one. Now, I'll be very selective in the second one if I do end up shooting one. But from there, we fly back to Scotland, and I'm really looking forward to get back to Scotland as well too. I think we're going to be hunting over around Inverness because I know that's where we fly out of when I get ready to come back home. I've hunted red stag there with Stephan and Sophia in the past and shot a really nice mountain stag and I also hunted a little bit down in the lowlands for roe deer and sika deer, or sika deer as they call them there, and unfortunately did not do any good on those. Did see some does and did see an immature roe deer buck, but we were looking for something with a little bit more maturity, and so that's going to be my goal this time is to try to do that. Maybe do a little bit of visiting. Scotland to me is so absolutely beautiful. Of course, Sweden is too, and I can only assume that Poland will be very similar, although I think Poland may be a little bit flatter where we hunt. I'm just kind of guessing, don't know for certain, but we'll find out before this hunt is over with. Now, normally I hunt with my own firearms, but this time because of the fact that we're going over in 3 nations and we're flying, and it could be done. You could take your own firearm, and I thought about it for a little bit, but it's just going to be a big of a hassle kind of thing, going from one nation to the other and then making sure that you've got proper gun permits. So this time, as I did when we were hunting in England for the little muntjac and Chinese water deer, I am going to be borrowing rifles. Now, I'm assuming that they're going to be, in the past when I've done that, they've been Blausers or Tikas or older Mausers. And I've requested, if at all possible, if they have a 275 Rigby or a 7x57 Mauser, that would be the rifle that I would prefer to use if possible. My preference above all these, though, has been being in touch with Stephan and say, hey, the one thing I really want to do is use Hornady ammo. So Stephan has assured me that we have a supply of Hornady ammo in each of those countries that I'll be able to use. So I can't wait to get there, to be very open with you. I've mentioned that a little bit earlier, and the roe deer hunt is so much fun. It's very much like hunting white-tailed deer here in North America, where I've hunted roe deer in the past. It's a combination of sometimes of just sitting somewhere in what they call a host sits, which is like our deer blinds that we have in Texas and overlooking a field or some areas where roe deer have been seen in the past. And then also there's a fair amount of spot and stalk. Now, the roe bucks that we'll be hunting, they shed their velvet probably about last part of April, first part of May. The rut, for the most part, is still a while away. And in some areas, it may be in June, so we're not that far away, but maybe in June and July or August. Now, a lot of times, too, they use a call that's called a butylol call, which is kind of like a a strange whistle when you get right down to it, and it's a sound that apparently attracts bucks, or roe bucks. So I hope we'll have an opportunity to at least try those and see if it works. As far as size is concerned, we've had a discussion not very long ago with Dr. Mike Arnold as well, who is a world-renowned geneticist among everything else, but a dear friend and a great podcaster, outstanding writer, and just an outstanding individual as far as I'm concerned as well too. But in visiting with him, these deer will weigh probably 40, a big one maybe 50 pounds, 55 maybe. I'm trying to remember the ones that I've shot in England and the ones that I've shot in Spain and the ones that I've shot elsewhere as well too, and they're in Switzerland. I'm sorry, in Sweden, and I recall them probably weighing about 50 to 60 pounds. So those are mature bucks. So really looking forward to hunting this little particular deer. And to me, I've got some mounts, some shoulder mounts that I've done in the past from Sweden and Spain and England. And this time I think we're just going to do the really attractive little skull mounts, if you will. They look so great when put upon the antlers with a skull plate on a really nice piece of wood that I think that's what I'm going to do. And quite frankly, if you've seen pictures of my little office that I have now as compared to what I used to have when we lived in Uvalde, Texas, I don't have a whole lot of room on the wall. You know, people ask me about if I have a trophy room, and I said, yes, I do. It's called Shields, the Shield store in the Colony in north part of Dallas. I've got a tremendous number of mounts there, and I've got a bunch of them here. And then I've donated mounts to a lot of different museums over the years as well, too. So, but the little roe deer, hey, they are special. So they're going to come home with me. Yeah, I've got two of those mounts that I just described. If you're ever in LaGrange, Texas, my daughter Beth and I and Andy Johnson own the Crown Bar. It's one of our sponsors, and it's a quaint little bar, absolutely a great place to visit, whether you want to have a drink or whether you just want to sit and visit with folks for a little bit. But it's in LaGrange, Texas. And I've got two of my roe deer mounts there, one from England that I shot many years ago with Mervyn Manningham Buller, and then one of the bucks that I shot with Stephan Bengston there in Sweden, really in a wide field overlooking the bay that separates it from Denmark. I could actually see Copenhagen way off in the distance. So I don't know if we're going to hunt that same area or whether Stephan's got a bunch of other places I know that we can hunt. So kind of suspect that's where we may start off when we get there. Now, one of the things we're going to try to do in each place, too, this was part of the overall package, if you will. There's some of you that like beer. There's some of you that are very much opposed to drinking alcohol and all those kind of things. And, you know, to me, it's part of the culture. And one of the things that we're going to try to do in each one of these countries that we're in is to try to find out what the iconic beer is for that particular country, and to imbibe in at least one bottle or one stein or whatever, however it's served. So that'll be kind of interesting. Now, one of the things that I am going to try to do, y'all are all aware that we do a TV show, a regular digital TV show called A Sportsman's Life that appears every week on Carbon TV. We also have a YouTube channel where it appears every week. And while I'm in these three nations, I'm going to try to do a show, or at least a segment from each of the nations, showing some of the culture, showing the habitat, showing the animals, showing the people that we encountered, and showing some of the places that we would visit. So, you know, you may not be able to go with me on this hunt, but by golly, you're going to be able to see it. And remember, that is a weekly show. Among TV shows, that just didn't hardly happen. But we like to do stuff so that when the we being Jeff Rice, who actually puts the shows together, Luke Clayton, who I mentioned earlier, and then myself, me, and we film our own selves while we're hunting and those of others, and then it's turned into a weekly show. And the beauty of that is if Luke or Jeff is fishing, and they're going to be fishing on the off side of the dam, behind the dam, in on the Red River there, south, or on the Lake Texoma, or on the river just beyond the dam. I'm stumbling here trying to find the right terms, but they're going to be fishing for big stripers, striped bass, and blue cats while I'm gone, and got a couple others. And the thing about it is they'll be fishing, and I'll bet by the week's end, if not the week's end, the following week, you're going to be able to see what they caught, what they fished with, how they fished. And knowing old Luke will probably try to show you as well how to prepare some of those fish to make them taste absolutely perfect, which he is an ace at doing. So going to have Luke back on again. Like I said, I tried to do this episode, and unfortunately, as I said, my computer ate my podcast episode. But anyway, we'll have Luke back on and Jeff back on as well too in the future, and we've got a bunch of things planned. We've got Dr. Mike Arnold has become a very dear friend. Of course, Mike is, as I mentioned earlier, is a professor. He is a geneticist at the University of Georgia, head of that department of genetics. He writes books like Bringing Back the Lion, Bringing Back the Wild, working on another book right now that we're trying to get him in touch with a lot of different people, maybe help him in terms of where he gets to hunt and how he hunts, talking about the different cultures of the hunt, but then also writing about the animals that have been saved because of hunting. And that number is substantial. So as he gets a little bit closer on that book, and even long before, I'll have him back on as well, too. Beyond all that, I've got some time spent with dear old friends, Rick Lambert. Now, Rick, among other things, is a songwriter, former police detective, all-around good guy, just happens to be the father of Miranda Lambert. Even if he were the father of G.D. Lambert, whoever that might be, it wouldn't make me a bit of difference. He is just absolutely a dear friend, and he and Jim Zumbo. Now, most of y'all know Zumbo's name from many years of being the hunting editor of Outdoor Life, doing a TV show for the longest period of time, and Jim is just one of those truly unique individuals who I so feel very, very fortunate to call him a dear friend. And between Rick Lambert, Jim Zumbo, and me, we're often referred to as the three Amigos. Well, we've got a trip coming up in June that I will take you on in every way. We'll do some filming on that trip. We'll do a bunch of podcasts while we're down there with him, those two guys, and Mike Snyder, who from the Valley of Texas. Mike is just another dear friend and has been very much involved in a lot of the adventures that the three of us, that Rick, Jim, and I have done. So while we're there, I'm going to be spending a little bit of time interviewing both Rick and particularly Jim Zumbo as well, too. Jim was one of my first guests when we first started this podcast. Oh, my gosh, almost 7 years ago now. So really looking forward to that as well, too. And going to have my old friend Michael Waddell coming up again, too. Back in the wintertime, I had an opportunity to be on Mike's show, and Michael's show, rather, and really want to get him back on here as soon as he slows down from hunting turkeys a little bit and all that kind of good stuff. We'll have the opportunity to sit down with him and talk a little bit about old times and have him tell one or two of his stories. And you know, he has hunted elk a lot. He's hunted white-tailed deer, of course, a lot, but you know, he's also hunted other places as well, too. So one of the things I'm going to try to dwell on there is have him tell maybe a turkey hunting story, a deer hunting story, but then I want to hear about some of the other places that he's hunted. And I don't think that's been publicized as much as what it probably should have, maybe just beyond the show or something like that. So got those guys coming up, got a whole bunch of other great things coming up here in the very near future as well, too. And we're going to kind of start shutting this thing down because I got to get ready. The last little bit of packing I have to do to go to Europe and make sure I've got the proper clothes because the temperatures are going to be relatively cool and possibly rainy as well, too. So got a little bit of that to do. Then I have to drive to the airport. I fly out of the airport that's about 2 hours from where I live. But in doing so, I want to remind everybody, we have got the Texas Wildlife Association convention coming up before too very long. That's in July. I think it is the weekend after July the 4th, and I think those dates are going to be, oh my gosh, they're going to be the 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th of July. And you can learn more about that one, about going attending it, and I dearly hope you do. This is an organization that I really kind of helped start, or did start back in 1985. So this is our 41st annual convention. You can learn more about the Texas Wildlife Association and why it's important, not just in Texas, but elsewhere, by going to www.texas-wildlife.org. And, of course, the next weekend right after that, we've got our DSC Summer Show Expo, if you will. It's coming up at the Gaylord Texan Resort in Grapevine, Texas. Absolutely fabulous place. This is the second year that we will have done that show, and this year it's a 4-year show. We've got over 400 booths. We've got all kinds of activities planned for people from the time that they're probably 3 years old to 133. And then, of course, on the night of July the 25th, we have our DSC Foundation Gala going on, and that is our annual fundraiser. And this year, too, need to remind people that we're awarding the Legacy Award to Mr. Steve Hornady. So proud for him to receive that award, and so well earned in so many different ways. He's been such a great supporter of wildlife and hunting and shooting and all those other great things, and wildlife conservation now for many, many years. And Mr. Hornady, congratulations. I could not have a better awardee as far as I'm concerned in that category or any of the other categories that we might award. So look forward to seeing Steve and his family there. But you know, we've got a lot of great auction items. There's going to be another Choctaw McNabb about taking a buffalo and eastern wild turkey and catching a fish. There's hunts from all over the world. There are hunts for white-tailed deer and different animals scattered all over North America, and so many great hunts that will be going up for auction there that night. Now, we'd love for you to attend. If there's any way you can be there, please be there July the 25th at the Gaylord Texan for the DSC Foundation Gala. But if you can't be there in person, remember, you can always bid on the items that are going up for auction that night. And you can do so by going to onlinehuntingauctions.com, looking up the DSC Foundation Gala, register to bid, and you can bid on those items right there as well too, from the comfort of your living room, your fishing camp, your backyard, wherever you might be if you can't be there with us in person. And just to remind you that money is 99.999999%, essentially 100% of all that money that's raised goes directly to wildlife conservation and wildlife conservation education. Each year we grant somewhere in the neighborhood of a little over $1 million to extremely well vetted applications, and these two come from all over the world, but a lot of that money stays here in North America as well too. And that fundraiser is one of the ways that we can come up with money to grant that kind of numbers of dollars to those worthwhile efforts that are going on in North America, and like I said, really throughout the world when you get right down to it as well too. And you can learn more about what all the DSC Foundation does by going to www.dscf.org, dscf.org, and learn more and more about that. That is such a great group, and to me, the DSC, or Dallas Safari Club, is the finest conservation hunting organization there is in this world. It's run primarily by volunteers who do not receive money. There's a very small paid staff. And two, need to remind you that we have a lot of chapter now across North America. I think we're now up to almost 33 chapters. Each of these chapters is located, through different parts of the country, and they're their own 501(c) tax-exempt organization. And so their affiliation with DSC is so that we can have a stronger voice in terms of numbers. But there are all kinds of different things going on as far as banquets with fundraisers during the springtime and into the summer. And what I want to remind you of there is that the DSC chapters, on their top fundraiser, they keep 75% of the money that they make to determine where they want to grant it through their own organization, their own chapter, if you will. 20% of that top fundraiser money goes to the DSC Foundation. But guess what? they can tell, the individual chapters can tell the foundation where they want that money to go to. Only 5% of that top fundraiser goes to DSC. And that's to help guys like Bruce Borofsky and Mike Hofstadter, two guys that we have who travel around throughout the continent, if you will, to help set up chapters and to help maintain chapters and those kind of things. So those are available throughout the country, and that said, too, if they have a second fundraiser, let's say it's $2 less profit than what they did on the first one, guess what? They get to keep it all, so determine where they want to. There's no other chapter system in the world, including a lot of conservation organizations that are set up in that manner to where the money is determined where it goes by the local chapter, which is the way it really should be. So if you're not already a member, you can also go again back to the biggame.org website, find out where the closest chapter is, and you can get involved as well, too. So really, we need you, folks. We really do. We've got a great president in place right now, as far as I'm concerned, in the terms of a lot of things doing with wildlife, but we need to have numbers, and we need to be able to represent numbers as well, too. So please become a member of DSC, finest hunting conservation organization there is in the world. With that, it's time for me to go finish my packing and get in my little Jeep and head to the airport. And hopefully I'll be able to record a bunch of segments while we're in Europe, and we'll have those coming to you. We'll probably try to do a show from each one of the nations. So look forward to catching up with you then. Thank you so very much for joining us. Remember, too, I have a Patreon site, and it's patreon.com/MR Whitetail. So go there. A lot of extra stuff there that you can find, and you can also go to my website to learn more about things we do, blogs and buy books, and even kind of hook up with the show that I mentioned, The Sportsman's Life, and then this podcast, and a whole bunch of other stuff, and by going to www.larryweishuhn.net, and it's LarryWeishuhn.net, all lowercase. Thank you again so very much for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you right back here around the DSC Campfire next week.
DSC's Campfires with Larry Weishuhn has also been brought to you by The Crown Bar in LaGrange, Texas, the Texas Wildlife Association, Double Nickel Taxidermy, and Burnham Brothers Game Calls.